On this bonus episode of Locked On Jayhawks, we come out to you because KU has a pretty big football commit. Isaiah Marshall, class of 2024 quarterback. Pretty big deal. Let's talk about it on this bonus episode of Locked On Jayhawks.
You are Locked On Jayhawks, your daily podcast on the Kansas Jayhawks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I'm Derek Johnson. You can hear me 3 to 6 Monday through Friday on KLWN's Rock Chalk Sports Talk in Lawrence. Thanks for making Locked On Jayhawks your first listen every day. This is a bonus episode. We actually earlier today had an episode breaking down National Signing Day, KU's class coming in from the transfer portal and the high school level, and boom, Kansas gets a class of 2024 commit today. Isaiah Marshall, just about an hour ago as of recording, committing to KU. Very big deal. He is a dual threat quarterback, about 6 foot, 195, 200 pounds, from Southfield, Michigan, out of Southfield High School for the class of 2024. And we'll get into why this is a big deal, what it could mean for KU football in the future in just a second. But first, this episode of Locked On Jayhawks is brought to you by FanDuel. This year, the only app you need at your Super Bowl party is FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. We're really excited about our new sports betting partner for Locked On because they're the #1 sportsbook in America. And if you're new to FanDuel, that's even better. They have so many great features that make betting on sports fun and easy. Download FanDuel now so you can bet on Super Bowl 57 with a no-sweat first bet. You'll get up to $3,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. FanDuel lets you bet on everything from the money line to point spreads to who's going to score a touchdown. I'm probably going to end up doing like a touchdown parlay. Like, I don't know, with all the KC receivers injured, maybe put something on Justin Watson, touchdown parlay. Maybe add Travis Kelce in the Kelce Bowl as part of it. And then, I don't know, maybe like Miles Sanders to get a rushing touchdown. We'll lean to that. We'll see what the odds are, though, maybe next week. FanDuel Sportsbook app is safe, secure, it's super easy to use. Best of all, you can get paid your winnings instantly. And join FanDuel today at FanDuel.com/lockedon to claim your no-sweat first bet on Super Bowl 57. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NFL. So, Kansas Isaiah Marshall, here's some context to why it is a big deal. Now, he's ranked a little bit differently on a bunch of the different sites. Some sites do rankings differently. Some are based on, I don't know, what you could do in college. Some are based on your pro potential. And if you're 6 feet tall as a quarterback, it might underrank you for what you are. But in terms of what he could do at the college level, what he is at the high school level, I feel like some of these sites, maybe he's not quite ranked as high as he will be by the end of this process, or should be, just based on the production. But Rivals is one where he is ranked 9th at the quarterback position for the class of 2024. Think about that. That means Kansas has a top 10 quarterback coming into the class. It is the highest ranked quarterback to commit to Kansas out of high school, right? Out of high school, because you have like the Jay Keeps and Dane Chris stuff, right? But out of high school in the Rivals recruiting database, which goes back to 2002. Now you look at some of the other sites with 24/7 Sports, it still lists him at the number 23 quarterback in the class. And still, if you're having a top 25 quarterback, that is really good. He's a 3-star on all 3 sites with On3, 24/7 Sports, and Rivals. He had a great offer list when you're looking at it. So Michigan gave an offer, which is his in-state school at that. Boston College, Pittsburgh, Maryland, Purdue, Kentucky, Cincinnati. So there's a long list of really good schools that offered this kid, and the most notable, obviously, is Michigan and being in-state. I think that it's pretty apparent that the ties of Chris Simpson were important to this commitment for KU. Chris Simpson from the Michigan area, and apparently Isaiah Marshall knew Rich Miller and Lorenzo McCaskill and had ties to them back from their days in Detroit. Obviously, this has become a little bit of a pipeline for KU, whether it is Rich Miller and Lorenzo McCaskill or Kalen Gervin coming from Michigan State, or some of the recent other high school recruits they have coming in, whether it's in the transfer portal or class of 2023. KU is starting to build a little bit of a pipeline in that Detroit area, And that is a really important area because, I mean, we've seen Detroit, or not Detroit, we've seen Michigan State really be able to capitalize off that. There's really talented players in that area, and Chris Simpson is helping KU bring some of those aboard. And Isaiah Marshall is kind of the latest there. Threw for over 2,700 yards last season in high school as just a junior, 27 touchdowns. He had over 1,000 rushing yards with double-digit rushing touchdowns too. And when you look at him, 6 foot, about 200 pounds, good dual threat quarterback, good runner, got a good arm. That reminds you a lot of Jalen Daniels. And you look at what this offense did last season, you need specific types of guys to come in and be able to run the offense if that's what you're going to continue to do. Now, you trust Andy Kotelnicki. You trust the staff at KU that they've been so good, whether it was at Buffalo or now at KU, of adjusting what they do to the personnel they have. So if they ever did get to a point where they get back to a pocket passer, like, they'll adjust to it. If they ever get to a point where they have, a different style of players, like, they're going to adjust to it. But with the success they had, you kind of go, well, if we can land someone who is really talented and happens to fit into what we're doing, that is even better. And so this kid comes in and you kind of expect him to be a really good player for you down the road and be that kind of replacement for the future. Now, obviously, this isn't until 2024. And you look at what this could mean for KU football when he does eventually come around, because clearly this is a big get for KU. And anytime you have the quarterback position, I know some people were worried that Cason Wiseman decommitted, and it's like, oh, do you have quarterback covered for the future? To be clear, I've always been high on Ethan Vasco, and I think the staff is too. And now you do. Like, okay, you didn't need to worry about it. They weren't just going to never commit another quarterback again. But as far as what this means to the future, let's discuss that in a second with Locked On Jayhawks. So Isaiah Marshall commits to KU from Southfield, Michigan. You have all the ties and everything. And really big deal. Top 500 national recruit on the 24/7 Sports Composite. Really good offer sheet. Really athletic quarterback. Fits into the system of what KU is doing right now. So obviously he's 2024, so he wouldn't be on board this year. So this year you look at the quarterback room, you have Jalen Daniels as it gets complicated with the COVID year, right? So Jalen, played his first year in the COVID year as a true freshman, then burned the red shirt at the end. So that would have been his second freshman year with the COVID year. Then this past year would have been his third sophomore year / junior year. So technically in 2023, Jalen will be a senior, but will technically be a fourth year junior, if that makes sense, because of the COVID year. So Jalen could have another year left. He could have decisions, though, at the end of the year with NFL drafts. I don't know. Everybody wanted to rumor the transfer thing. Seems like KU's taking care of him. I'm not really going to talk about that, but I don't know. NFL draft could be a decision he has to make, or he could have another year at Kansas. Jason Bean is in his last year, coming back for 2023. And then you have Ethan Vasco, who redshirted this first year. He'll be a redshirt freshman. Ben Easters, I believe, was a redshirt sophomore, or will be a redshirt sophomore next season. He was a redshirt freshman this year. So then you look at the quarterback room. That'll be it for this next year. So then you fast forward another year to 2024 when Isaiah Marshall comes aboard. Jalen, again, would have that decision. Does he go pro? Does he stick around for another year of school? Jason Bean would be gone, and then you would basically have the competition between Ben Easters and Ethan Vasco. If both guys are still around, you never know with the transfer portal who stays and who goes, of competing for the backup spot. Or if Jalen does go pro, then you're competing for the starting spot. So it's basically between true freshman Isaiah Marshall at that point, redshirt sophomore Ethan Vasco, redshirt junior Ben Easters for the starting spot or the backup spot based on Jalen Daniels. If Jalen does come back, I think that it almost helps Isaiah Marshall a little more to start early in his career, because if Jalen does go pro at the end of this year or something, or he's no longer on KU at the end of 2023, then you probably look and say, well, Ethan Vasco coming in as a redshirt sophomore at that point in 2024, Isaiah Marshall, a true freshman. Sometimes it takes time to learn the system. That would probably give a leg up to Ethan Vasco, who the staff is very high on. And again, I continue to be high on as well. But if Jalen comes back for 2024 as well, and now Isaiah Marshall comes in his first year and he's behind Jalen Daniels, and he has a season to redshirt or just be the backup, now all of a sudden that advantage that Ethan Vasco had of being in the program for a bit to learn the playbook gets dissipated a little, and then maybe you're looking at Isaiah Marshall starting in 2025. So that could have kind of a heavy impact on maybe if he starts or not, but if the talent is undeniable, he's going to get on the field early. At the very least, you feel like whenever he does become your starting quarterback, when Jalen's gone, maybe after Ethan Vasco's gone too, or if he just beats him out, like Isaiah Marshall is going to be a very productive quarterback in an Andy Kotelnicki offense. And obviously you can't see the future, what the pieces are going to be around you so far away from now and who the coaches are going to be. Like, is Andy Kotelnicki going to be a head coach somewhere else by the time? I don't know. But it's a very big hit for KU, and that's why we're doing our bonus content here. That's going to do it for this episode of Locked On Jayhawks with our bonus. Subscribe to the show anywhere you get your podcasts. You can find me on Twitter at DJohnsonRadio. Hit us up on YouTube. Give us a like. Give us a positive review if you could, anywhere that you review your podcast, if it lets you, if you're on a platform that does just that. We'll be back for tomorrow's episode with a KU Iowa State preview here with Locked On Jayhawks. Have a good one.